Salut à toi, dans cette vidéo, on fait un focus sur un entrepreneur africain à succès, comme on les aime. Aujourd'hui, je te partage l'histoire de Jenny Lyons, une entrepreneure africaine. Issue d'une famille modeste, décide d'immigrer il y a quelques années de ça pour les États-Unis afin de poursuivre ses études. Aujourd'hui, chef d'entreprise à la tête de 3 entreprises basées en Afrique et aux États-Unis, elle décide de rentrer s'installer au Cameroun où elle dirige justement une équipe de pratiquement 30 personnes. Elle a un chiffre d'affaires incroyable, elle a un impact sur des dizaines de centaines de personnes en Afrique. Et on revient un peu sur son parcours, ce qui l'a inspiré, ce qui l'a motivé, comment à un si jeune âge, elle a pu avoir autant de succès dans ce qu'elle fait professionnellement, quelles sont les stratégies qu'elle a utilisées. Donc dans l'interview avec Jenny, va suivre dans quelques instants, je partage avec toi 3 principales. La première des choses dont on parlera avec Jenny sera comment décider qu'on est prêt à transitionner du salariat pour l'entrepreneuriat. Quel était le déclic pour elle? La seconde des choses qu'on verra avec Jenny, c'est comment se positionner sur le marché, comment attirer la clientèle, comment s'établir, même qu'on part de zéro, avec peu de capital, parce que c'est l'un des principales freins pour beaucoup de personnes qui veulent se lancer. Et la troisième des choses a été comment concilier la vie personnelle à la vie professionnelle. Est-ce que le work-life balance est un mythe? Est-ce qu'on peut vraiment tout avoir dans la vie? Amour, relations, succès entrepreneurial, vie de famille équilibrée. Est-ce que c'est possible? Jenny nous révèle ses secrets, comment elle y est parvenue et ce sur quoi elle travaille encore pour le moment. Donc avant que la vidéo ne commence, je t'invite à faire 3 choses. La première serait déjà de t'abonner si ce n'est pas encore le cas, d'activer la cloche de notification pour être notifié chaque fois qu'il y a un épisode sur la chaîne. Des épisodes comme celui-ci, il y en a toutes les semaines, il y en aura toutes les semaines, on parlera des vrais entrepreneurs qui font bouger les choses, qui font parler d'eux et qui changent l'Afrique. La deuxième chose que tu veux faire, c'est partager la vidéo, partager cette interview avec un entrepreneur, un ami, que ça pourrait aider parce que sharing is caring. Et plus on a accès à l'information et plus on pourra faire émerger l'Afrique du noir dans lequel elle est encore présentement. Et la troisième chose et la dernière, c'est que tu veux à la fin de l'interview, pendant l'interview, si tu veux travailler avec Jenny, sois sûr de regarder la description de la vidéo parce que j'aurai toutes les informations liées à comment la contacter parce qu'elle offre des services d'accompagnement pour des gens qui résident aussi dans la diaspora qu'en Afrique. Donc si tu es intéressé éventuellement, sois sûr de regarder la description pour être en contact avec Jenny et sa team. Donc sans plus tarder, on va aller dans le vif du sujet. Je laisse regarder l'interview avec Jenny. Déjà, je te dis que l'interview est en anglais parce que voilà, Jenny est principalement francophone, principalement anglophone. Donc ça a été beaucoup plus simple de faire l'interview en anglais. Et je sais que ce ne sera pas un frein pour quiconque parce que l'anglais, voilà, parce qu'on parle un peu tous l'anglais, voilà. Ce qui m'a inspiré particulièrement à faire cette interview avec Jenny, c'est le fait qu'à un si jeune âge, elle a réussi à s'imposer comme leader dans le domaine dans lequel elle travaille et aussi à avoir un impact pour des dizaines de personnes sur le continent africain. Et la ténacité qu'elle a eu à croire en ses rêves, la ténacité qu'elle a eu, l'ardeur, l'éthique au travail qu'elle a eu pour foncer, bien qu'elle aurait pu tout simplement se dire, ok, je suis aux États-Unis, j'ai le travail de rêve, je vis le rêve américain, mais elle a voulu rentrer sur le terroir, avoir un impact, créer de l'emploi, créer de la richesse directement pour les Africains qui y résident. Tu apprendras énormément de cette interview avec la boss lady, l'afro-boss lady Jenny. Donc sans plus tarder, je te laisse regarder. On se retrouve derrière pour le début. So without any further ado, let me introduce you to Jenny Lyons. Hi Jenny, thank you so much for joining me in today's live. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, just the intro is, I don't know if that was me, but thank you. Thank you.
Of course, it was you. It's actually, I think that was even humble bragging because you have a lot under your belt, and I'm excited that we are having this conversation because I've been wanting to do this for a while. Yes. But yeah, with different schedule and everything that happened on your end, we couldn't make it happen.
I know.
Yeah, and how are you doing?
I think I'm doing quite well. I was telling you earlier, I still feel like I'm not settled. I still feel like, I mean, some of you who are watching probably don't know, but I relocated to Cameroun from the US. So yeah, I'm still settling. I've been here for 5 months. It's really hot. So I'm always using the fan, the AC, everything. But yeah, I'm still quite settling because I'm doing a lot of renovation. Business is really taking me on a roller coaster. So yeah, I think I'm doing good. I don't know.
Also, we're gonna dive into that, the business and the lifestyle, everything that's going on. And I know about yourself, and I would love you to introduce yourself and a bit of background, your background story, how you went from the USA to relocating back to Cameroun, and how that whole thing happened, right? In the backstory.
Wow. So basically, I was in the US for 14 years. So I was in the US for 14 years. I did my undergrad there. So I did accounting as undergrad. I have a bachelor in accounting. Then I worked as an internal auditor for a couple of years. Went back to school while I was working full time. Went back to school, and I was basically because I at that point I decided I think I wanted to have more than just a bachelor degree. So I went back to school for an MBA. So while I was doing my MBA, that's really when I started shaping up my entrepreneurial journey. That's when I started really building my business. But it's funny because my brother company has already started, but it wasn't officially, it wasn't officially launched. So I actually officially launched it 2017, but it had started back in 2013 because my first client was actually 2013. So for some of you who don't know me, I am a serial entrepreneur. I co-own a primary and kindergarten school here in Cameroon. I have about 16 teachers under my belt. I have, a head teacher. I have an accountant, an admin, a tax person. I also have a store here in Cameroon that actually, I do manufacture bridal gowns, and I have a store here in Cameroon. And I also do have an online website. So I have customers online that can order gowns from Europe. I recently had a client, my first client from Italy. I didn't even know that people from Italy, are looking for bridal gowns and they're looking for me. So that was really humbling.
Congrats.
So, and I'm also, I do many things, guys. I'm also a coach. So I coach and I mentor young girls. And really not just young girls, but like anyone who wants to go into entrepreneurship. And I always push people to get outside of the comfort zone. And recently when I was moving to Cameroon, as if that wasn't enough, I decided to actually go ahead and start YJL Consulting. My brother company is YJL Wedding, but I wanted an extension, and so I'm actually pretty soon I'm launching YJL Consulting. I'm actually working on building teams at this point. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
4 or 5 businesses that you're running, right? Because you have the help and the school and the consulting and now the house. So that's pretty impressive. So, so just to understand better, like, are you coming from an entrepreneurial background? Like your family, your parents were they entrepreneur? How come have you been driven to launch so many businesses?
So basically, I want to say yes. My dad was actually entrepreneurial. My dad was a government worker. He's a civil engineer. He's a civil engineer, and he worked. For all the years that I lived with my parents, my dad has always worked for the government. And when you're working for the government in Cameroon, you don't earn that much. So for my dad to afford the lifestyle that he offered us, because we had 6 children, and my dad actually had to go outside of just being a government worker to building his own businesses. But anything revolved around construction because he's a civil engineer. So he had other projects that he was doing on the side that would actually generate incomes. So one of the reasons why I think I want to say I had the DNA to be an entrepreneur because I've always been that type of person. I've always thought like that. Even when I was going to university, it was something that I always knew the degree was just there for me to get started, but it wasn't the end goal because I never saw myself working long term for somebody, but I saw myself starting a career so that I can learn what those companies, how they work, how they structure, the organizations and things like that. And I also remember when I was growing up, my dad always said, as a joke, he always said, you see your mom, she's mine. You see this car, that's mine. You see you people, you belong to me. And he used to say, and he was so funny, but he wasn't, but he's still funny because he's still alive. But anyway, so he used to say that why? Because he didn't want us, his children, to grow up with entitlement, feeling like we're better because dad had money. So he always felt like he wanted us to work and get our own. So one thing that he always reminded us is that at the end of the day, the life that the lifestyle and the things that he's providing to us wasn't coming from one salary. It was coming from different projects that he did. So he always preached about multiple streams of income. Yes. So I think it really came from that. From like, if you had asked me years ago, I was never going to say that, but I think it really shaped the way I started thinking that I couldn't just have one income. I really need to create multiple streams of income. And yeah, I think it really started from that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think the background in which we grow up usually has a lot to do with what we end up becoming. So
Exactly.
that it's amazing that you grew up in an environment where you were, compelled to do your own thing. So you mentioned that you had a bachelor's degree and then you did an MBA. How long have you worked in the corporate world before, going full time with your businesses?
8 years.
8 years, okay.
8 years, yeah.
How was it like the corporate lifestyle? Is it something that you actually enjoyed, or was it more like I can't wait to do my own thing?
I actually enjoyed it. Okay. Like I enjoyed it in the beginning because I had such a great company that I was working for when I just got out of college. So I really enjoyed it. I felt like I knew it wasn't. I always used to say, "This is the gas station," right? That's how I used to treat my jobs. Like as much as I was enjoying it, I always say that this was the gas station. I'm filling up my tank so that I can get to my destination. Because I always knew that this was just a stop. Because I needed to grow up first. I needed to mature. I needed to learn the business ways, and I needed to really be able to basically to learn how companies work. But I actually truly enjoyed working in those companies. I worked for two companies. The second company, I won't say I enjoyed it as much because there were a lot of politics going on. Yeah. So I think it just pushed me to even leave faster. But I actually enjoyed it. I knew it wasn't something that I would be doing for forever. Yeah. But I enjoyed it. Yeah, I did enjoy it.
I like that you say that it's like you saw it as a gas station because it's just, it's a bridge which is trying to get you where you want to be. And that's also how I thought about it. I always thought it was, a funding for a funder for my business, right? I've never seen as an end goal. It was just for me a means to an end, ultimately. So I love that. I love that. And so, when you decided to shift from corporate to having a business, did you already had something going on, or you took the leap of faith and how was the transition made? How did you make the transition from corporate to
I actually transitioned, and that's something that I always advise people. Yeah. Some people go cold turkey, right? Like I'm just gonna drop it, I'm gonna full. That works for some people. Yeah. Yes, for me, I transitioned. Like I want to say, I transitioned for 4 years. Okay. I started for 4 years. I transitioned for 4 years. So basically, during that transition phase of 4 years, I was like, last time I was telling you, I work on all time zones. I do work on all time zones. And 4 years before I actually quit my job, I was working on different time zones because when you're dealing with Asia, right, they have their own time zone, and you have to, you have businesses with them because they manufacture some of my things. Yeah. And you're dealing with, the regular time zone of America, North America. You're dealing with customers and things, in Europe, in Cameroon. Whenever I used to have a meeting in Cameroon, the meeting, there's a 7-hour difference, sometimes 6. So if the meeting is going to be at 9 a.m. in Cameroon, it means that I have to be up at 2 a.m. And one thing that was the hardest thing for me was to still get up in the morning after sleeping for 3 hours and make it to work the next day. But I can't tell my boss, because I couldn't tell my boss that
you're doing your own thing.
Yeah, that you know what? I came in late because I was working at night. Because you can do that. so I was always. I think most of the time, I think they knew that I could do it. That I was doing a good job. But I received a lot of warnings about coming late to work because. And I was so unapologetic because I was like, I'm building my future and I'm not going to apologize. I feel bad for coming late, But at the same time, if that's what it's going to take me to get to the top, that's what it's going to take me. And I really transitioned slowly because I wanted to make sure that I was financially in a good place before I actually drop the ball and say, you know what, let me go on my own. And 2019 was going to be the year that I was going to relocate to Cameroon. But life had it. I had so many other expenses. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm still going to stay in the US. But I finally did it in 2020. But yeah, I think transitioning is best. I mean, for me, if somebody had ever asked me, what would you suggest? I would never suggest to go cold turkey. Because in the beginning phase of you building a company or companies, you really testing it out because you haven't tested whether the clients, the customers are really loving what you have to provide. And if you're providing a product in the beginning phase, I can't even tell you how many changes I've had to make in my products because I found out the way customers will respond in America wasn't the same way customers will respond in Cameroon. Because I was selling the same thing, but in different countries, different cultures, and people would be like, for example, I'll give you one example. In Cameroon, people would tell me, we like white wedding gowns. In the US, they wanted off-white or ivory color, right? So originally, when I launched the boutique in Cameroon, I had shipped so many off-white and ivory type of gowns. So I really didn't pick white as the main color. It was more like an off-white, like a cream, because that's what my American customers were liking. And I found out pretty soon that no, they want white. And they don't like it when it's see-through. They don't like it when, the chest is open. Like there are so many little things that I had to adjust in the beginning. So I found myself with like a bunch of stock. And now I'm like, okay, I have customers who want my products, but my products don't really fit what they want to wear. So that's what I'm saying. In the beginning, you really have to transition because all of those extra costs are going to come from somewhere. And if you have a job, that job is going to be able to fund that. Yeah.
Absolutely, I love that, and I think when people are starting an online business or a business for that matter, they're sometimes a bit too optimistic, right, in terms of how fast they'll be able to make money, and we have this microwave mentality that okay, I'm gonna launch and I'm gonna have 10K month and 6-figure within a couple of months, and sometimes it doesn't quite happen that way, right? It takes some time to get momentum and even to get the skill set to get to that place where you can earn that or where you can charge that much money. So it takes, and yeah, it's always better to make sure that you have a strong foundation before pulling the trigger and like quitting your job. So you were born, you grew up in Cameroon, then you moved to the US for high school, and then you worked there for a couple of years, for 8 years, and then you launched your online business. Now I want to ask you, how is it to how is the landscape when you are living abroad and you want to launch a business in Cameroon? Like, what are something that you have to, what are some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome those?
So, for me, it was a bit different, right? Because even though I had left Cameroon already and I was already in the US for a while, I was still making it to Cameroon almost every year because I have a passion for the motherland. I just love Cameroon. So, launching a business from the US is the hardest thing when you're in the US launching a business in a different country. So the key factor is really to already have like a base. Do you have the people that you think you can hire? So when I was beginning, I was deciding, I think I'm going to launch the same business in Cameroon. I started basically traveling to Cameroon all the time because I wanted to find the right people that I was going to work with. I wanted to be able to do a market research. What do customers want here? So in October 2016, I had come to Cameroon for a seminar where I was one of the speakers, and the seminar was about investment, how American investors could actually come and opportunities that are here in Cameroon, and I was part of the panel. So as I'm coming to Cameroon that 2016, I met so many entrepreneurs, and I got to ask them questions. And some of the questions that I was asking them was really to understand how Cameroon works, what's the culture here. If I have to work with people, how would that work? And so some of the challenges that I encountered that I never like to share, but I'm going to share it, is that one of the reasons why, my first challenge was this. I had decided I'm going to launch the business here, YGL Wedding here in Cameroon. And I trusted that a girlfriend of mine who was like one of my best friends back in the days, and we're still in contact. I was treating her like a sister. And I trusted that she would be the one holding the business together. She would be the one managing the business while I'm still doing things in the US. And truth behold, as soon as I took the flight to go back to the US, within the same week, she had left everything. Okay. So I received a phone call from my mom, basically telling me, the friend that you actually hired to hold the business together, to launch the business, to do ABCD, gave up. Like, she's not picking up. She doesn't want to do it. She doesn't ABCD. So at this point, I just left Cameroon to go back to the US. It was December. And I'm thinking to myself, you got to be kidding me. How am I going to find? I had already done like so much publicity. The store is going to launch December. I think it was going to be December 5th or December 6th. So I had done so much publicity, but nobody was going to be there to actually hold it together. Oh, so long story short, I had to call my mom. I was like, okay, we need to find somebody ASAP. We need to find somebody. So my mom, she pulled some strings and found somebody that would be there as a temporary replacement. Somebody that would just be there like, okay, be there until my daughter comes back. But you want to know what's funny? The staff that is actually managing, the manager of my YGL Wedding, business here in Cameroon, that was supposed to be there for 2 months when I was looking for that somebody, is still with me today. Like, she's been with me all this time because she was that good. So that was one of the challenges, is that don't rely on people based on history, based on the fact that she's my friend, based on the fact that this is somebody that I love, this is a sister, no. That was the first mistake that I did, because I really didn't have a plan B. She was my plan A, my plan everything, right? Another challenge that I actually had to deal with launching the business in Cameroon and not being here was that there were so many things that was done, but done the wrong way. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, you would tell somebody, okay, make sure you do this cupboard this way, and he's going to do it another way. And that's one of the challenges, that you should expect that things are not going to look the way you want them to look like. Things are going to be delayed, because so many things got delayed. Even when I was supposed to launch the store, the boutique, I was going to do a whole opening, everything. It wasn't launched on that day. It was launched 1 month after. Wow. It was launched 1 month after, just because I wasn't here. But I was there two months prior. I was there 2 months prior to set everything up. And I knew that when I was leaving, my friend was going to be able to take over. So I think one of the biggest challenge is always being on your phone. WhatsApp is my best friend. My best friend ever, because every phone call, everything. And whenever I will send my stuff somewhere, go and get me something, I would be like, send me pictures, because I also noticed that they don't have a culture of sending pictures. Like, you would tell them to do something, and then we explain it to you verbally. And I wasn't there to understand it verbally. So I used to be like, when you go into that meeting, can you make a video? Can you take a picture of the items that we're about to purchase, so that I can see what I'm looking at? Like, explaining to me doesn't do anything, right? Because I don't know what you're talking about. So there were a lot. In the beginning, it was just chaos. I'm not even going to lie. It was chaos. But because I had done so much publicity, I started having customers within the same month that I actually launched. But everything was just chaos around. Like from an outsider point of view, everything was fine. Yeah, but from the inside, everything was just chaos. Like, yeah, and one of the reasons is because I had a full-time job, so I still had to go back to America. I still had to work there because even though I had taken 1 month vacation, my 1 month expired, right? I still have to go back to work. What am I going to tell my boss, you know? And whenever I even went back, I can tell them, oh, I need to go back again because my business, because nobody knew that I had a business at that time. Nobody knew. And I don't think most of them don't even know up to this time, which is, I don't know. I never actually communicated that to them. But yeah, so that was the biggest thing, being on top of every single thing, but at the same time, having an entire career on the other side. So most of the time I'll be at work, for example, and I'm in a meeting and I receive another phone call from Cameroon. Oh, there's this item that you not get your time and the wedding is going to be next weekend or this weekend and the bride is right there. Like so many crazy things happen to me. And I will have to excuse myself from the meeting where I was working and pretend like I'm going to the bathroom and I'm making a phone call. The good thing that happened is that I'm bilingual. So whenever I would make a phone call, I will speak in French so that they don't understand what was happening. But and then I will make a story that my mom is not feeling well, something is happening.
Yeah, just
it was such a mess.
Sometimes, wow.
Yeah, such a mess.
I think with business success, it is, I mean, a huge part of it is team. So once you are able to have around you like trustworthy and entrepreneurial and supportive, you know, a hungry team member, that's something which helps you succeed faster. And so relating to that story, I want to ask you, because that's something which I'm actually going through right now. What are some criteria that you look for when you are hiring people in your team now to make sure that you are choosing the best candidate, basically?
So, you know, at the end of the day, when you in the first phase of interviewing people, right? They're gonna come up with stories and they're gonna have the best language. I'm a hardworking person, I'm trustworthy, I'm this, I'm that. So you have to really, I mean, you have to use your own intuition and your own knowledge, your own, you know, in order to get an idea if that person is going to fit into the culture of your company. So one thing that I'm looking for in people who are actually hired, whether it's my consulting, my brother company, or the school even, is people who are honest. I cannot deal with people who can tell the truth. Because one thing that I always tell all my staff, at this point, I have about 20 staff under my belt. So one thing that I always tell them is this: if you don't share what's going on, I can help you. Like, I'm willing an open book. I want you to share everything. I want you to be honest. If I'm selling or I'm providing a service that you think is not really quality, you know, for the price that I'm selling it for, I want you to communicate. It may hurt, right? Because I'm expecting it to be good. But I want you to communicate because you're the person that is closer to the client. You're the person that is dealing with the customers. So you directly dealing with them when I'm on the back end doing all the logistics. So honesty is something that I'm always looking for. I'm looking for somebody who is going to be reliable. I cannot deal with people who are not reliable. I cannot deal with somebody who tells me I'm going to do something for you, but doesn't show up the next day and make up excuses, right? Because that's just my personality. If you tell me, Jenny, we need to do something, I'm going to show up. And if I don't show up, I'm going to give you reasons, plausible reasons why I'm not showing up. Another thing that I'm looking for is people who are really, people who think outside the box. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you have to surround yourself with a really good team. Because sometimes, us entrepreneurs think that we can drive the business alone. Our, you know, whatever we visualize, our visions, you know, we know exactly where to take A, B, C, D. But sometimes I find myself making decisions that came from my staff. Decisions that I just, during a meeting sitting with my staff or even a phone meeting, video conference call or even an in-person meeting, they will mention something small, and then they will say, oh, I think I was talking to this the mother of this child, and she suggested ABCD. I have a primary school, so I deal a lot with parents, deal a lot with like kids and all of these things. So, and sometimes when you having meetings with, I'm having meetings with my teachers or the head teacher, and they will suggest things to me that I'm not really aware of because I'm not on the ground, right? I'm the person who had the magnificent idea to build the business, but I'm not the one directly dealing with the parents. So I always need somebody who's going to be open-minded, who's going to communicate, who's going to tell me the vision. Not every suggestion is going to be accepted, but I'll always welcome suggestions. So at the school last year, we implemented a suggestion box, literally a suggestion box, because we found out that some of the teachers, whenever they have some teachers sometimes don't want to communicate certain things to the head teacher, right? Yeah. Because maybe of something that happened in the school, and then they don't trust that the head teacher is going to communicate that information to me as the founder. So what they do is that what I did is that I created a suggestion box, right? Where if anybody, teacher, accountant, admin, everybody that has a question or a concern can just write it down and put that piece of paper in the suggestion box. Yeah. And that suggestion box actually has a key that nobody has access to, right? So I'm the one who sends somebody to, my brother is actually the one in charge to open it at the end of each month. So it allows me to see, okay, this is where we are. This is some of the concerns, the challenges and things like that. So that's some of the things that I've implemented. So when it comes to choosing the right staff, that's really key for me. Honesty, reliability, people who are thinking big, outside the box, people who communicate, because I can't deal with people who keep everything inside. So those are some of the things, among many, but those are some of the things that I look for. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good list. That's a good list, because you want, I know a code book says that you want to hire people that are smarter than you, because then they can, they can challenge you to think bigger and to bigger perspective sometimes. So it's stuff which is also entrepreneurial. I love that. So now you've lived in the USA for like
14 years.
Time. And I know for some people, like for some of us living in abroad, right? We are always a bit scared going back full to like relocating, right, back home. So how was that shift for you? Like, was it only driven by your businesses, or did you were there other driver which really, led you to be like, okay, I'm going back home, and I've had enough of this, US, like American dream, I'm going back home. What was the main driver behind the decision?
Yeah. So I want to mention, just a disclaimer, guys. Yeah. I actually loved living in the US. Yeah. Like, I feel like I had one of my best life in the US. Like, even up to now, I'm actually willing to go and stay there for a couple of months, but stay there. Yeah. But I really enjoy living in the US. I always tell people, I always envision myself coming back home. Yeah. So as soon as I left Cameroon to go to the US, I always knew I was coming back. Okay. I always knew I was coming back. It was just a matter of, when am I coming back? Yeah. So it wasn't something that was like outside. No, it was really in my DNA. So everything that I did it strategically. Yeah. I went back to school for an MBA strategically, because I wasn't getting the MBA for another career, like getting a better career. No. Yeah, I was doing it for myself. Yeah, because I knew, okay, I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to own my own businesses and things like that. And what is it that I need to learn? That's why I actually went back to school. So everything was planned. There was nothing that the US did to me. I'm still even, planning. Technically I'm supposed to be there next month, but I'm not going to be there because of so many other things, but I'm still going to be in the US here and there, right? But I always wanted to move back home, though. I always wanted to move back home. So what actually triggered that decision? I just wanted to move back.
Yeah.
And really, and because I really invested a lot back home.
Yeah.
And in terms of my businesses, so it's better for me to actually be here and deal with the headache, deal with the people, deal with the staff, and see how things work. Because I felt like from 5 years ago, right? I launched, I started launching my businesses in Cameroon. I never truly sat down and really operate those businesses fully, right? Even though I was doing everything in the back end, but I was never in Cameroon for more than 3 months at a time. I would come for 1 month, I would come for 2 months, I would come twice a year or 3 times a year, but it wasn't enough. So I felt like it was about time that I actually relocate to Cameroon. I sit down, I deal with all of these things that is going on. And I'm having which is another thing that, you don't expect. You think when you're going to be here, everything is going to be smooth. No, nothing was smooth for me. I felt like I just came and everything started crumbling. And maybe because of COVID, I don't know, but everything started crumbling. And I was left and right. I mean, I moved here September and we are January, and I'm just now settling, getting just now. Yeah. I spent the first month just fixing things that were broken, hiring staff that had left, dealing with issues that I never knew existed, dealing with things that former employees did not do. So there were so many things that when I came, I had to deal with a lot. And thankfully, I have a sister who actually lives in France, who we actually work together at the school. So he allowed me as soon as she came, I remember I was like, girl, you take over. I was tired. And I remember when I had told her, I said, I've had it up to here for the school, because this is just the school, because we only partner at the school level, right? Yeah. So my other businesses is me. So I was everywhere at the same time. And this was like the beginning of school starting, where I needed a head teacher because the other one, we had fired him. I mean, it was about time. Yeah. So there was so much going on when I moved, that when I remember people asking me, how's Cameroon? I wasn't sleeping. I was dealing with so much. And so moving wasn't easy, but it's something that I was prepared already. I feel like I was prepared for it. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, something which I love about what you say is that I think it's really best to design a business around your lifestyle, and that's something that people don't usually think about when they think of launching a business, right? You always want to choose a business model that fits your dreams lifestyle, and your dream was to go back to Cameroon, so you decided to choose a model which allowed you ultimately to go back, which is beautiful. And because sometimes you can build a very successful business, but if it's not in line with what you truly desire, ultimately you might be making a lot of money, but you are still unfulfilled and unhappy. So it's very critical to have that vision, that clear, compelling vision, which is gonna drive you, so that when you get there, you're like, yeah, I'm happy, even if it's challenging, but I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I'm enjoying it,
And, exactly. And I want to say something on that note, guys. Let me come closer. I designed and strategically planned everything up to the man that I am to marry. I'm still single. But every man that came up to me with no dream whatsoever of moving back to Cameroon was out of the picture. Wow. It wasn't a debate. It was like, oh, you want to stay where in the US? Oh, no. We're not going to do it.
We are not going anywhere, right? There's no common vision.
No, and some of them were good men. Like, that's how bad it is when you're that passionate, when you're that driven, when you have that conviction in you that I have something bigger that I can do. I have something, because I always tell people I was living a comfortable, really comfortable life in the US. I did not lack anything. I had built a career that actually afforded me a comfortable life. I could have stayed in America and just be okay. But because I was dreaming beyond America, I was dreaming, how am I going to take the knowledge and everything that I've learned, and come back to Cameroon, to the motherland, to actually build it and provide businesses, jobs for people. Because as you know, there are so many people with degrees in Cameroon, but no jobs. So one of my main goals was how can I be part of the change? Because it's so easy to tell people, go look for a job, but how can you be part of the change? And my first thing when I started, even YGL Wedding, when I started that business, everything was planned with Cameroon culture, Cameroon mindset, everything. I was thinking of Cameroon first, and I started in Cameroon first before selling to America, because I was like, America already have all of these things. They already have much more choices. Cameroonians don't. How can I bring something to the table, and how can I hire more women? Because my YGL Wedding is just women. So how can I hire more women who can actually also be financially free, and not have to live in certain conditions. So that has always been my goal. That's what I'm saying. Even the men that I was picking, I was like, you don't want to go where? No, bye.
Of course. And I think we usually see successful people and we think they just woke up successful. But I think success is really a process of envisioning yourself, having some certain things or living a certain way, and really taking action every single day, which gets you closer to that dream of yours. And I see people that don't have goals or don't have vision, I'm like, how can you live without any goals? Like, where are you going? For me, it doesn't really make sense.
Nowhere.
You have to. You need it because goal is like a roadmap which really guides you where you wanna go. And again, when we look at how our home countries are, I think we have a responsibility to make things better. And I think ultimately we are the change, right? It's not gonna come from politicians. It's not gonna come from whoever. It's really us we have the responsibility to go back and create opportunity for others and inspire them, right? Inspire them to be better and to think outside of the box. Of the box and to think bigger. So I love what you are doing with your company, and and that's why I wanted to have you, because I've seen the impact that you have, and I'm like, I need to have her on my channel, right? She's such a powerhouse. I love it. So something which I wanted to ask, so you mentioned like being home, struggling to get a job and stuff, and many people in Cameroon or even in other African countries most of them are wanting to become entrepreneur, but there are many challenges, right? You are there. What are the biggest challenges that you have seen when it comes, that people face when they want really to launch their own thing back home? And
I think the system, right? Let's talk about the political system. And the economical system, because I think, I'm talking specifically about Cameroon, because I could take the example of Ghana, but Ghana is more accepting of entrepreneurship, right, compared to like Cameroon. So I think in Cameroon, people have the way the system is structured is you're supposed to be an employee, and the way people are, the way the mind is already shaped, right? The way they think, the mindset is, I went to school for this degree and I'm supposed to be working in this field. So many people are not really entrepreneurial. What makes many of them entrepreneurial here, I believe, is the fact that they don't have the opportunities to actually find jobs in their field of studies. So when you don't find work in your field of studies and you have to pay bills, that's when you start, you become creative. You have to do something. One of the challenges that I faced in Cameroon, that I'm still facing in Cameroon, is really anything that has to do with the administrative system, For a document, for you to even legalize something, the process, everything that you think is in written form, that this is all the documents that I need, oh, you're just wasting your time, because by the time you get to that office, they're telling you a different story. And you can go to the office, they will tell you need to fill out document A, document G, document E. You do all of these things. You drop the documents and they tell you, no, ma'am, you forgot B, C. You do it again and they tell you, oh, now it's too late. You have to pay something.
I guess the system, right? It's just...
There's no, you know, follow these rules, follow these steps, and you're going to get, no. Like, even when you follow the steps, even when you go by the books, you know? So it becomes this whole thing about who are you as a person? Are you influential? Do you know somebody who knows somebody to make the process easier on you, right? Even when it comes to like taxes, gosh, I can't even explain to you. I'm about to start dealing with taxes for my third business, and this is something crazy, right? I do have retirement for like my employees and things like that. It's another ball game. I'm telling you, like things that we think should be easier. Like I remember 2 years ago, I was so frustrated, and I went to the tax office and I told these people, how can I want to pay taxes and you people make it difficult for me to pay taxes? As a business owner, I want to pay the government taxes, and you make it difficult for me to pay the government taxes. And it becomes this whole thing of, if you do this, what about us? Give us something too. So I think, and I don't want to go into details, and I think if you are Cameroonian, then you know already what's going on. You know the system. You know, many of us know the system, but how do you really navigate in the system is what makes it hard. And I think for me, that's like the biggest challenge when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, is that it's not really you. It's not your dreams are going to be stopped. It's not you not being able to actually do something. It's really the system. It's not structure for entrepreneurship. Like they expect you to go for a job, but they don't provide you jobs. You know, that's why you see a lot of we call it bensikin. You know, a lot of people who have bikes, motorcycles, and they use it as taxis. That's why you really see a lot of them. Some of these people with the bike and, you know, doing the taxis and all of these things have master degrees, have doctorate. They can't find jobs. They're trying to start their own business and they can't even process the paperwork because things are just hectic. I mean, I'm talking from my personal experience. I think this for me is like the hardest thing in Cameroon when it comes to like, how do you succeed as an entrepreneur? It's really that. Yeah.
I guess you just have to be persistent, right? And know how to play with the system ultimately, because like you need, like someone said, you need to know how to play the game if you want to win. Like you. It's a very tricky system that you need to know how to navigate if you want to be successful at entrepreneurship back home. So you mentioned
you have to be patient. You have to develop a degree of patience that has no name. I mean, if you thought you were patient, think twice. Double it, triple it, and maybe that's what you're going to need exactly to survive. Because if you come into Cameroon with the mindset of, I need something to be done by this time frame and I need it to be, no, you're wasting your time, because nothing is going to be done with your time frame. Everything is done according to how they wake up in the morning, how they feel, you know, like nothing is structured. Like, so the patience, the level of patience that you need to develop is tremendous. And I think it had allowed me to just learn how to chill, because in America, I had a fast life. You know, I was always on the go. And in Cameroon, you really want to go, but you can't, because they stop you at every point. You can't. You can't.
Things are just meant to be flow. Things are meant to be there. You need to chill a little bit. I guess it's just something that you get used to, and you learn how to navigate with all of that. Something which I really want to ask you is, like, you are currently running 4 businesses, and I'm wondering, how do you manage to keep your sanity? Like, how do you manage to keep a healthy, balanced life running so many businesses? Like, what's your secrets, or like, how do you make it happen?
That's a good question, because I don't know. I really don't know. I think you really have to be that type of person. Yeah. I've always been the type of person that if I do one thing, I get bored really fast.
Yeah.
I get really bored. I remember in the beginning of my career, I had a full-time job. And I was in a new city, because I used to be in Minnesota, in the state of Minnesota. And then I moved to Texas. And I was living in Austin. I didn't know many people, but I had a good job, right? And I was so bored. Like the 9-to-5 job, I was bored. So I started going to the gym. That was back in the days when I was fit, you know. But I started going back. I started going to the gym, and I was doing a lot of Zumba classes and things like that. And I started studying and preparing to be a Zumba instructor.
Okay.
Because I was so bored with my time that I needed to find things to do, because I felt like I can't just have a 9-to-5 job. Then what happened?
Yeah.
Then I started learning. What was it that? Okay. I was starting to have like a CIA, you know, like certified internal auditor certification. I was studying for that, and I felt like that too wasn't enough. So I think I just have the personality of somebody who cannot do one thing. So unfortunately, I remember when I moved to Cameroun, and I called my aunt in France, and I was like, I'm just, you know, running mad. I feel like my head is going to explode. I have so many things, you know, I found like it was just chaos. And I remember she told me, she was like, if things were slow, you would have been bored, because that's just who you are. You work better with pressure. And you know, you want to complain, but somebody's telling you, no, this is you. You work better with pressure. So I think managing and keeping my sanity, I still find ways to YouTube, you know, for some of you who know, I still find ways to YouTube. And I think YouTube actually keeps me sane, because I get to just talk, right? I get to go places and film, because I'm a talkative person. So I think YouTube is another thing, you know, like it just keeps me happy. Now I have my mom always asking me, oh, I did not see an Afro Boss Lady video today. I'm like, since when do you watch Afro Boss Lady videos? and then she doesn't understand English. So, but she's asking for the videos. Which is so funny.
Wants to see you walking around different places, you know.
Yeah. I think she just wants to know, what is it that I'm up to? What am I doing? What am I talking about? So I think all of these things really keep me sane. I think I just love the drive of like running different things and just, you know, being busy. I think I don't really have an answer for that. How do I keep my sanity? I don't have an answer for that. I just love it.
Yeah, and I guess that's the main thing. Like when you do something that you enjoy, that you truly enjoy, it doesn't really feel like work. So you can like spend hours working on a project or working on your business, but it doesn't really, it's not draining, right? It's not draining your energy. So you feel like, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna do something else, and that's just amazing. That's pretty incredible. So guys, she as Jenny just mentioned, she has a YouTube channel, Afro Boss Lady, where she uploads vlogs, everything around Africa, and you know, she's relocating, so she really walk you through and share with you her journey of how she's running her business on a daily basis. You get to see the behind the scene of how a CEO life looks like. So make sure to check her YouTube channel at Afro Boss Lady. So what something which I also wanted to know, Jenny, is you are back home, you are running your business. Do you feel like it's like a stigmatism, like, okay, women who are so successful, do you feel like you have that people look at you differently, or that society feel like, oh my God, she's so accomplished, we cannot give her anything? Because I know back in Africa, usually we have that when you have very successful women, the society, right, is we have so many stigmatism like, oh, is she gonna be a good mother? Is she gonna be a good wife? Is she gonna be able to manage this and that? Have you felt that, or you just feel like, no, you are living your best life and no one has expressed that concern? Because I know for me, for example, when I was going after multiple master and then being like, I'm gonna start my online business and doing my stuff, right? And even up to now, my parents are always like, okay, are you sure that this is not too much? It's like, you know, and even not only then the society in general, like friends and family members have that concern. Is it something that when you are back home, you feel it a bit more intense on your shoulder, or you haven't felt that way? No one has expressed that.
That's a good question. First of all, I'm trying to be Oprah.
Yeah, that's what we are going for.
I'm trying to put it out there. I'm trying to be Oprah, which means that I'm really trying to live my best life under my own terms.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not living somebody else's dream. I'm not living somebody else's life.
Yeah.
I have designed this life. And if people like, you know, like, I mean, the same issue or the same comments that you receive about, you know, oh, are you not sure you're doing too much because maybe they expect you to be married or things like that? I've had the same comments for years. And one thing that I always say is that being a wife or a mother doesn't define my womanhood. I am a woman, fabulously a woman. And I choose to live my life under my own terms because I think the goal in life is to be happy, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be happy. You know, some people find happiness or even that level of joy when they have a family, when they have a spouse, you know, kids. Some other women find it when they have their career, their businesses. And some other women find it when they just don't want to work. You know, they want to be a stay-home mother or a stay-home wife or things like that. So everybody is different. And I think in society, we have to have a little bit of that difference, right? Like, we can't all be the same thing. You can't be eating, you know, tomato soup every single day. You're going to be bored. So I think it's okay. It's really okay for women. And that's really something that I preach all the time. It's okay for women to stand in the truth and to say, I am happy and I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, if I ever become a mom, amazing. If I don't become a mom, amazing.
Yeah.
Regardless of the outcome, I will be happy. Like, for me, I know my truth, right? For somebody else, it will be different. For her, the goal is to have a child. For me, it really doesn't matter because I feel like sometimes we live a life where we feel like we're so entitled of like, you know, I deserve that child. I deserve a husband. I deserve this. And you don't really understand, or you haven't really realized that you never chose to be alive. You never chose to look like this. You never chose your parents, you know, like, who are you? And I think many people, you know, like, in society look at what the parents did or what other people are doing in order to determine what they should be doing, instead of really going deep inside and really finding out what is it that I want to do? Who am I? And I've had to really go deep inside of myself. And I started doing the work 2013. I was really young. I was just going through a crisis. And I went deep inside, you know, and trying to figure out who I am. Like, who am I? You know, because I find myself complaining and somewhat comparing myself and my growth to somebody else or to another woman. And I quickly realized that I can't really define myself based on the life that my mom had lived. So do I get comments in Cameroon or anywhere about, you're a woman, are you not doing too much? Why are you not married? Things like that. Yes, I do get those comments every day. But most people who give me those comments really know that I don't care. Like, I'm living my life. I always say this to people, and I say this to my parents, and it scares them because they don't want to hear it. They feel like I'm planning my death, but I'm not really planning my death. I always tell them this thing. I am so ready that if my life had to end tomorrow, I'll be okay. because I had done everything I was supposed to do. I had lived my life on purpose according to who I am in my truth. So I'm not really regretful of anything. Let me tell you something. I don't ever sit down and think, I wish I was married. No, never. And whenever a man shows up, guess what? I'm trying to figure out how he's going to add on to my happiness. Because you can't take it away from me, right? Because I've already built it. So the relationship that I've attempted to have, that I felt like a part of that happy place was living, like he was taking away. I ended those relationships.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not going to sacrifice my happiness, my sanity, who I am authentically because of somebody else. And also, unfortunately, I wish I was, I could just go out there, get pregnant, and I have a baby. But I'm not that person. And I'm also not seeking for it. So I'm the type of person that whatever life gives to me, I receive it, right? If I happen to become a mother, amazing. If I don't, amazing. Married, amazing. I'm not, amazing. That's what I say. Guys, I'm really trying to be Oprah. I keep on saying I'm really trying to be rich and just living unapologetically, in my own terms.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. And I totally share that. And I think we should normalize the conversation around women being happy without having what society considers to be, success, or without having those things such as, husband and baby, because I think those things are very important, but it's not what makes you happy ultimately, right? They just add on to your happiness. And success or happiness even can be defined in different terms. And usually in our society, we grow up with those structure in mind, that idea life in mind, like you have to go to school, get good grades, get a job, get married, buy a house, get a kid. And if someone doesn't follow that plan, we feel like they fail. Yeah. And I think that's not the way it should be. We really need to normalize the fact that a woman can be all she can be, and successful, happy as she has ever been before, without having a man or without having a ring on her finger. So that's something which is, and I love the way you said it, because happiness is something that you find within first. And it's not the relationship which makes you happy. It's not the baby that makes you happy, right? It's yourself that makes you happy first. And you really have to understand yourself and be happy with yourself, because ultimately we are the one we're going to spend the most of time with, right? We are ourselves. We have to become our best friends before going for outside, ways to have that happiness. So I love the way you frame that the way you spoke about it, because I think there's, again, like, probably because it's in Africa that you have that judgment. I think in Europe or in USA people are a bit more open-minded, but it's definitely something which has to shift in the society. That people have to understand that it's okay to do both, or to be so driven by what you do and love every single day of your life, right? Without having that ring on the finger. I love that.
And one thing that I wanted to add is that in Cameroon, people don't expect me to be a driven, successful businesswoman. Like when they see me walking to doors, like in offices, they expect me to be the staff of the CEO. They expect me, to say I'm coming for. I'm going to give you an example. I went to a meeting, for the school, and I was going to legalize some of the things because some things had changed. And then I was like, okay, when I come to Cameroon, I'm going to do it. And I show up in a meeting. The man that I was talking to, who is like the chef de centre, looked like he's in his 50s, right? So I'm trying to explain to him the school ABCD, and he goes ahead and tell me, go back to your office and tell your boss ABCD. And I remember looking at him and I said, I am the boss. And he stared at me like head to toe. And he was like, no. I mean, the founder of the school. And I said, yes, that's me. Nice meeting you. And I think they don't even expect, they expect me. And another time, just recently, a couple weeks ago.
Mm.
I walk into a room and there are people going for that meetings and things. And one of the men who is much older, he goes, because I was waiting in the hallway. So he's going, he's passing me by.
Mm.
And he said, what are you doing here? You're too young. You should be at school.
I own the school.
I should have said that. I don't know why I did not think of it. But anyway, I remember when he said, what are you doing here? You're too young. You should be at school. You should be at school. And I was like, I know I look younger than what people, I mean, guys, I'm not old though. I'm still fresh. But I do look younger than my age. So I always get that a lot. People would be like, oh, are you still in school? Are you in university?
Mm.
And that day I did not really respond to him. So he goes back again. And then he's like, yeah, but I asked you a question, where do you go to school? And I said, I don't go to school. I didn't even say I own a school. I said, I came here for a meeting because of my business. And he was like, because of your business. And he gave me the look again, right? Because they expect that if you're a businesswoman, you're supposed to be more mature, maybe, like a bit older, a bit, I don't know, like this whole thing. So people don't really see me in Cameroun as, the lady who owns a school, the lady who has, multiple staff, the lady who has a brother company, the lady who goes for, coaching and seminars. They don't look at me like that. They always look at, it doesn't even come in their mind to even ask me about, are you not married? Because for them, I'm still young, I think it's mostly the women. Excuse me?
Which is a compliment.
Yeah, compliment. I think it's really just the women that I've had to receive those type of questions and things like that. I think most people, when they find out how old I am, that's when the question comes. Oh, you're not that young. Yeah. Because usually they would think I'm like, somewhere 25. I remember this guy, he was like, oh, you probably 24, 25. And I'm like, my little brother with 6 children, the last one is 24.
Not even close.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, Jenny. So now I want to ask you, because I guess that's something which will be of interest to people listening and watching. What are 5 qualities that you have, which you think, or that you've acquired, right, that you attribute your success in business?
Okay, I think the first one that I'm not even thinking of, I already know I have it, is I'm a risk taker. I'm a risk taker.
Risk taker, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really shy away from things. Like if I say I'm going to do something, best believe that I'm going to do it. And even though the probability of failing is higher, I'm still going to do it because I want to see myself do it, fail, get back up again and do it again.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you have to have if you're trying to, do anything in life and you want to be successful at anything.
Yeah.
You cannot avoid taking risks. So I think I have it already in me, I'm somebody that I can fail 1,000 times and I will still get up and do it again.
Yeah, and the thing is, failure is actually failure is just the path to success. And I think we live in this society where we're so afraid of failure that we don't take any chances. And of course, if you don't fail, you never discover how great you can
try.
Yeah. All the most successful people have failed so many times, and people usually forget that. So having that risk qualities, I love it. Okay, so that's one.
Okay, so the other one is that I'm really open-minded. I think I welcome, like different perspectives, different ideas. I'm the type of person that when I go into a room and I don't even know people, I'm actually the type of person that would connect with A, B, C, D, and I would bring them together.
Nice.
Like I'm that person.
An extrovert.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
I want to say intro extro, but I think I'm mostly extroverted. Like I think my introvert side is really when I'm in my own zone, in my own space, trying to be creative, trying to think about what is it that I need to do next. I can go into places where I don't know people. Usually I get the vibe. You will see me. Some people may think I'm shy. I'm not shy. I just don't feel like the conversation is interesting enough, you know, or maybe I don't feel like I want to talk. But most of the time, I think I'm mostly, if you ask most of my friends, they will say I'm extroverted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So mixed it, open-minded. Okay.
Yeah. Another quality, I don't know. I think I'm just awesome.
Of course you are.
No, okay. Let me explain before people start.
These are qualities which have helped you become successful, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm awesome because it took me a while when I was younger to admit that I was smart, right?
Okay.
It took me a while to admit that I knew what I was talking about, that I can follow my gut and actually, you know, be right.
Amazing,
yeah. So I think let me talk again as women, because I think we have this thing that we are reminded all the time to be humble. We are reminded to not showcase our success, our smartness. We are reminded that, you know, if you're in a room with your man or with men in general, you know, don't be the first one to talk, or you know, don't speak up, even though he made a mistake. Don't say nothing. If you make it, if you do something successfully, you know, you have to thank the family, you have to thank the people that helped you. For an example, a woman will make a speech and then she will say, I couldn't have made it without my families and my husband that really helped me. You know, I just had a good support system in order to make this business into $1 billion, you know, empire. A man will make the same speech and he will say, I trusted my God and I knew that no matter what, I could do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he would say, I stayed up all night. I remember those days where I was working and people told me I couldn't do it. Like, and I think, and that's not to...
That's so accurate. Oh my God. Yeah.
That's not to say men brag. Actually, men brag more than women. Women always attribute their success to somebody that helped them, a community that helped them, right? Men attribute the success mostly to themselves. Yeah. So once I realized that the level of humility that society asks a woman to have in order to become successful, like even when you are, they tell you, don't act like you are, you know, just bring it down a notch a little. And a man goes into the same room and he's not even close to the level that you are, and he's pretending like he's Obama, you know? So that's why I said, I think I'm just awesome because for once in my life, or maybe, you know, I want to say for the past couple of years, I started saying I'm smart, you know? I started saying, yes, I know what I'm talking about. I will go to meetings and then I will be like, yep, I know exactly what you guys are thinking. You know, you think I'm young. Even in my career in America, I can't even tell you the amount of time that people thought I just graduated from university and I started working. I would go in meetings with CEOs, directors, CFOs, because that's what my job was. I was an auditor. So as an auditor, you go to companies and you audit the books and you try to figure out, you know, where they're in compliance, where they are not, you know, internal controls, all of these things. And I remember many people underestimated me because they felt like, oh, she's young and, you know, she's a woman. So I think I started owning it. Like, I'm awesome. I'm smart. Because I feel like, why not say it? You know, why not say I'm actually smart, you know, because
no one is going to say it, right? We have to speak gently to ourselves first, because the world is so harsh. Sometimes if you don't have that, you have to be sometimes your support system and your biggest cheerleader, right?
Yeah, and I think I hype myself up. Like I hype myself up, and it doesn't matter what the world thinks of me, right? I like me. I like me, you know. That's why I say one of the things that actually got me to this place where I'm comfortable, where I'm doing the things that I love, is because I actually had to sit down and I was like, huh, I'm smart. And I started acting like it, you know, like it wasn't just shying away. Because most of the time I used to be like, no, I'm not smart. I'm just a hardworking person. And I said that for a long time. I used to say that all the time. I remember I was in university, the professors would be like, oh, this person, just you see that girl with the blonde hair? Because I don't know. Anyway, her name is Jenny, and she always has A's in my exams. And you know, you will see this American coming to me, and I will start pretending like, no, I just studied hard, you know, I wasn't smart. And I did that, you know, I was a victim.
Like now you mentioned, I'm like, yes, sometimes we are so humble and we don't give credit to ourselves for how,
Yeah. So I think, you know, I don't want to name the other multiple qualities, but I think those are some of the qualities that I think I have.
That were of help to your success. That's amazing. So what's one advice that you would give to someone wanting to launch a business? No, before we ask that, I want to ask you, how did you navigate the whole COVID thing? Because you have like an offline business, I would say. How did you manage to stay alive, to survive the crisis?
So I will explain it to you in different contexts. In the American, European context, my businesses, I mean, not my businesses, my YGL wedding business, my bridal company actually did not make much. Like, the good thing is that it's mainly online, right? So most of my customers canceled the orders. Some of them who were supposed to pay, because I customize gowns. You know, if you want a black wedding gown, I can do it. So they stopped the payment. Everything stopped, like cold turkey. Like March is when everything stopped. So just recently, I made a video where I was talking about how I had to close down my website shortly. Because I felt like I was paying $30, you know, every month, $30-some every month for a website that is not selling one thing. And, you know, like, even though I can afford it, I felt like, why waste the money, you know? Because that could be the money that I can, you know, put somewhere, you know, even in Cameroun, because in Cameroun, I need the money. So the good thing is that I manufacture in America, and because I sell in North America, Canada, Europe. I have clients in like France, London. I mean, the clients that I've had so far, and then recently Italy. So basically, just 2020 was really bad on my business. I'm not even gonna lie, it was just bad. Everything just shut down. Now, Cameroon shut down for a little bit. And then starting August, things started picking up back again, right? So starting August, I started receiving an influx of like orders of customers that want like gowns, because I also do rental. I customize gowns, and I also have like ready-to-wear gowns, like retail. Like if you go to my boutique, you're gonna see gowns there and stuff like that. So I started having an influx of customers because so many of them had canceled the wedding earlier during the year. So many of them were getting married towards the end of the year. So I made I made money. That's all I can say. I made quite a bit of money with that business in Cameroon. It's still the same business, but different countries. The fact is that in Cameroon, even though there's COVID, we don't. People here don't live as if there's COVID.
Absolutely.
You know, you go to the market. I think you saw some of my videos. You will notice that I'm filming and people don't even wear a face mask. People are still hugging each other. People are still going to the club.
It's like everything is normal. Business as usual.
Yeah. So you don't really feel it here as much. You have to be careful though. You have to be, wearing your face mask, all of these things. But people here don't really acknowledge that. And because they have the herbal medicine, all of these things, they feel like, oh, we already been called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a different culture here. That's why my brother company is still working here. I'm still able to manufacture gowns and actually ship them to Cameroon, and people are still buying them. So I think it's a different ball game. Now with the school, it's a different story because school is school. People are still going to school, so that doesn't really change. And the funny thing is that even though it's COVID season, I actually had more students this year than I've ever had.
Okay.
So
the consulting company, because the internet just broke and I lost a few sentences of yours.
Oh, okay. So no, I was saying for the school.
Yeah.
For my school, I actually have this year, despite COVID and everything, I actually have more students than I've ever had.
That's awesome.
Like I know I have more students enrolled than I've ever had. And I also think it's due to the fact that there were a lot of renovations that were done this year. So yeah. So I mean, my businesses in Cameroon are doing well. I think I'm more worried about my businesses in the US. That's one of the reasons why I have to actually go back and see how I can, work on some things there. Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, you had like different countries in which you are having business, so it allows you to balance, to have some kind of balancing in the overall, from it. So what's your biggest advice that you would give to someone launching or ready to launch a business, be it online or offline?
I think the first thing that I would say is that you have to really believe in what you're about to launch. Yeah. Like if you're rendering a service or you're providing a product, you really have to believe in yourself. I think many people spend time asking the neighbor, asking the mothers, asking the boyfriends, instead of really just listening to themselves. You have to believe in what you are about to put out, and that's really key because you're going to be the first cheerleader of your business. You're going to be the one explaining. If somebody wakes you up at 1, 2 a.m., you should be able to say, oh, this thing is for ABCD, because that's you. You created that. It's like a baby that you birthed. You created that. You're the best person to know how is my baby, what he or she looks like, and things like that. Yeah. So I think believing in yourself is key, because you're gonna have a lot of people talk you out of doing something. Yeah. And you need to really be strong in your own truth and say, you know what, I believe that this is what I need to do. The second thing, the second advice that I will give to people is to really be resilient. Don't give up too soon, because sometimes we feel like, people have this overnight success. We see like people on social media with, oh, I woke up today, I launched something, the next day I'm a millionaire. No, they've been working at it. They've been struggling. They've been, like many people don't talk about the failures. And I wish more people could talk about the failures rather than the success, because people can fail for 10 years, right? Like you can meet somebody who had failed for 10 years. But when you meet him at the season that you're meeting him, he just made it, and maybe he's a millionaire now. Absolutely. So all he's going to talk about is how he finally made it, how I finally made it. Yeah. And he's never going to share with you the 10 years behind him that he failed, and he failed, and he failed. Yeah. So I think that's really another advice, that people have to be resilient, right? Like it may not work, but even when you fail, you have to learn from your failures, right? I think it was Oprah who said, failure is just another way for God to redirect you to another direction, right? Like as you're failing, it's just a way to say, no, this is not where you're supposed to go. Go this way, right? So you have to learn from your failure. I've met many people who wants to launch business or who launch businesses, and as soon as they fail, they give up. I have friends like that. Launch one business, as soon as it doesn't work out, they give up. And they give up with this mindset of, at least I tried. No, you did not try. Because for somebody like, Sarah Blakely, who is the CEO, the owner, the founder of Spanx, she had failed several times. She had made things that were not comfortable for women. She had done this and that. But that's how you learn. You learn from your failure. So I think that would be the second great advice that I would give to people. Don't give up too soon, because you never know when the light at the tunnel is going to come. So, because sometimes you give up and you don't know that if you had just made that much more effort, you would have had maybe that contract, So don't give up. If you have that conviction that you're supposed to do something, just, as you're falling, get back up and, and so forth. And also, and also know how to shift, because sometimes people fail and they go back, they get back up again, and then we do the same thing. Like, you have to, if you really truly learn from your failure, you will know not to do the same thing. You will know that, okay, I need to use a different method, a different, strategy for that. So those are really the two key advice. Maybe the last one that I can throw like this is like, don't listen to people who don't have any businesses, because they will just project all the, insecurities, all the fears onto you, because those are the people that usually will tell you, oh no, I don't think it's going to work. People don't really need this, but they've never tried it. Who knew that women needed Spanx, right? Who knew that women needed Spanx until Sarah Blakely came about, with Spanx. Like, there are so many things. Even this lady, I forgot her name, but she's the founder, of Women Viagra, whatever. She sold the company for like I think it was 100 million, something like that, 1 million. I can't remember, but it was a lot of money that she sold the company for. But she just realized that when she goes to the market, she will see men Viagra and things like that. What about women? Women too have to have pleasure. And many people, she had a lot of setback for years and years and years, not just from people from the neighbor, but from government, officers telling her, no, you can't do this. We're not going to approve this. We're not going to do this. And she kept on trying and trying again. And finally she made it, So that's really something that I would say, like, don't listen to people who don't have your vision, people who have never attempted anything, people who don't take risks, because most of the time they will lead you to actually, falling on your track. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, and I think the way, just to add to what you just said, the people that you surround yourself with, that's critical, right? Because if you surround people, we say that, it's said that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend most of your time with. People think it's a joke, but you really are, because we as human beings, we tend to adapt to our environment, right? So we tend to fit in. That's how you always want to surround yourself with people that are bigger than yours, that are doing better things, or that are in the same path as you are, because they're going to challenge you ultimately and push you outside of your comfort zone on a daily basis. Yeah. And and I know I read a quote who said that the only difference between successful and successful people is really in not that much in the skills, but really in the desire that they have to succeed, right? If you don't have a burning desire to get to that goal or to live that life, you're not gonna go through all the trial and error and everything that is required to get there. So it's something which is very important to keep in mind. Well, I guess that's made it. We've really been around everything which I wanted to ask you, and you've been so generous with your time. One last question which I have is, where can people find you if they want to be coached by you, if they want to buy your merchandise? What's the best place to find you and all your amazing resources?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I know we really plan to like have this one-on-one. And so people can find me. It depends what they're looking for. So if people are looking for customized bridal gowns, because I actually manufacture bridal gowns, then on Instagram, they can find me at YJL Wedding.
I'll have all of the in the description as well, so they can just click and find you on that.
Okay. And then if they want to reach out to me via email or things like that, they can always email at info@yjlwedding.com. And if they go on the website, they're definitely going to see like my contact info, or if they go on Instagram, they're going to see everything there. I ship everywhere, so wherever people want, you want the gown to be going to Turkey, I ship there. So it's really, an international
right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. So now if people want mentoring, coaching, when it comes to business, when it comes to like shifting your mindset, like just because I also coach people on the personal life, because so many people have issues and, things that they haven't settled, maybe things that were like back in their history, when they grew up, some things happen. And I actually also help some of these people, in shifting the paradigm and having them actually think outside the box. How can they really live the authentic life? Just like I also coach people in business, right? So for anything business, you guys can reach out to me at info@afrobosslady.org via email. Or you can always go to my, IG page, which is afrobosslady_Jenny. So for any coaching, anything like that, I think this is the platform that I respond to people most when I have people there. So I always post on social media, like on Instagram. I always post anything there. So if you guys would find out more, if you guys
go follow her at afrobosslady_Jenny.
And then on my YouTube, if you want to keep everything is going to be there. My YJL Consulting, the firm that I'm going to launch this year, I already started working with 2 clients, even though the company has not really fully launched. But I'm still building a stronger team, a bigger team. So I'm working on that. But that company is really to assist people from the diaspora, who wants to invest in Cameroon, who have activities in Cameroon, also foreigners, because I have African Americans that would like to visit Cameroon, that would like to, invest in Cameroon or find out about the heritage, so I help. So YJL Consulting basically is the bridge between people from abroad who have a vested interest in Cameroon. So you will find services such as, and I'm still working on the website. So once I have the website, I will let you know. But I offer services. I also audit companies. Like I have a group of audit, folks that if a company needs some, quick auditing, trying to figure out if they're on track, I have a team for that. I also monitor people construction. I have people who call me because they're building their houses in Cameroon and they are not here to actually monitor the work.
That's also one of the biggest issue, like having those.
Yes. So I also help people with that. So it's really I'm really the bridge between anybody from the diaspora, anybody abroad who have a vested interest in Cameroon. So on that, people can reach out to me at yjlconsulting@gmail.com.
Okay, I'll have all of the link with the different business models so that they can know where to go based on what they need. And I think this consulting is something that I might need in the future because I know I have some couple of things which I want to launch in Cameroon and I need some guidance, some expert advice on that. So definitely.
And I've been consulting with a lot of people recently. I think because I had a lot of people that wanted me to already start with them. But because I had not yet relocated to Cameroon, I couldn't really start. So since I relocated to Cameroon, I also do one-on-one, like video meetings, consulting, just so I can have an idea what they really want. And I have people who have no idea what they want to do in Cameroon, but they want to invest in Cameroon. And I also talk to them about different opportunities and things that they have to look into. So
That's awesome. That's really great because I know so many people that want to invest, but they're like, where should I put my money? Like, is it safe? You want to control the whole thing, who's gonna supervise the whole thing. So you being in it's phenomenal. That's awesome. I'm gonna put all the link in the description so that the people can reach out to you, because I think that's something which is of most interest to people who are abroad, because I know we most of us face the same struggle, the same issue.
And I think that's the reason why the idea came because of that, because I was one of the person that was dealing with those issues. So I was like, I wish I had somebody who could actually help me out, you know? When, like, I have a staff or a teacher resigning and I need a new teacher, and I need somebody who's going to be on the go to be like, oh, I found somebody, you know, just like a staffing agency. So those are some, I actually went through so many challenges in the past 5 years trying to do business in Cameroun, that one of my goals, I was like, you know what? When I move to Cameroun, I'm definitely becoming the person who's going to be helping people like me who are really abroad. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. I'm definitely gonna need your advice probably by the end of this year, because I want to learn some things back home. And yeah, that's
great.
Yeah,
amazing.
I love it. Well, that's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did. Thank you again so much, Jenny, for your time. You've been so generous. It was lovely speaking with you. Very enlightening, and I'm confident that people who watch are gonna have a lot of golden nuggets and a lot of insight watching the video, because you dropped a lot of gems. Basically, every question, every answer was filled with gems. I'm probably gonna work with a lot more time, because it was a really good one. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you also for having me. You as well, you are a freaking boss lady. Like, you are somebody that I admire so much, because you also have that drive and you have this conviction that, you know what, this is not what I need. I need to go on my own and build my own business from scratch. And you did it. So there are not many women.
What happened?
Okay. Because that's how much amazing you are. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, I mean, I guess we live. I feel like we live in the greatest area of all time, and there are so many opportunities right in front of our eyes. Now it's just up to us to size them, and we can really live limitless life, and we are on our own limitation. We are our only limitation.
We are, exactly.
That's something which I strive to do, and I also inspire people to work. And that's why I want to interview people like you who can really inspire and challenge people and force them to think bigger and see how much can be done, right? How much can be accomplished? Because I mean, look at you, like four thriving businesses that you are currently running, and you look phenomenal. So it's really a proof that it can be done. So I love that. So the connection is again a bit frozen. So let's wait until Jenny comes back. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. That's the end of the video anyway, so I'm just gonna end it here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, let me know below what was your biggest takeaway from what was your biggest takeaway from watching it. What's the main thing that you've learned, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.